It's time. Everybody, y'all know what time it is. It's Friday night, so it's time to say what you feel. I'm going to let my guest, he's not even a guest. This is home for him. I'm going to let my co-host introduce himself. Tell him where you from. Tell him what you about. Tell him where to find you.
Hey, this is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight on Twitter. Check me out. Follow me. I follow you back. I talk about anything from sports to basically anything, really. I got an opinion on everything. You might not like it, but, it's my opinion.
His opinion, just stay his opinion. But we can live with that. I can live with that. So I'm going to hop right into it. We're going to start off with what we're seeing in the media from the celebrities. Now, you ever think that, certain people shouldn't be allowed to have a lot of money? Because I hear things
Stacey Dash.
see things. True. So Amber Rose was on one of those late night shows yesterday, and what she was talking about was one of the ways she can get her son to be quiet is to start twerking for him. And he always calms down and starts laughing. Is that okay? Should a mom be twerking for her 3-4-year-old kid and then advertising that's what she's doing? Is that
you know what? There's no manual for being a parent. I'm going to preface this by saying that
there should be,
but there should be common sense. I just wonder, and I'm not there to say one way or the other how she's raising her kid. Is this going to be like the norm? Is this going to be? You're talking about a little boy, a boy that's going to grow up into a man. Is he going to be expecting this from women that he starts dating? Is this how he's going to? Is this how he's going to view women? Based on what she said, if that were my girl, if that were my son's mom, I would have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that, and I have an even bigger problem with the fact that she told the whole wide world that that's what she does.
Well, here's my thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Celebrities do dumb shit.
They do.
It's part of being a celebrity. And what about when he's 16 and he having a bad day? He come home, he got an F on his paper. Is she gonna start twerking for him to make him feel better?
Yeah, but by that time, man, she might need a hip replacement or something. Doing all that stuff, man. You got to. No, seriously. All joking aside, man. I mean, that's something you keep in house. If that works, it works. I'm not here to judge any other parents. I can only worry about no. I can't. I can only worry about what my kid's doing, to be very honest. And I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment on nobody else. But I will say, just like I said before, if that was my son's mom, I'd have a problem with her doing that. And we'd have to sit down and talk about it, about how she's blabbing that to the whole wide world. And, that puts another spin, because that's a horrible reflection on the parents, in my opinion.
Well, I think this is what I think. I think, like you said, there's common sense in parenting. Omar Mateen, the shooter in Orlando at Post nightclub, his dad has went on record saying, "I wish he was never born. I didn't raise him. I love America." When this is the same dude that had a show about how bad America is. His dad
is trying to save face, man, and that's what that comes down to. I know we're segueing into this here. I really. Are we through talking about Amber and her booty?
Yeah, we don't got so she don't need that much time.
Yeah, okay. So we segue into that, but I don't have a problem talking about Amber. This is one of the, she made her money. She can do what she does. But anyway, let's get back to
weave then. But anyway,
let's get on to something else here. Now, with the shooter, I honestly don't believe that was related to ISIS. I believe this dude had an identity crisis with his sexuality. And because of the strong Muslim religious faith and the way they view homosexuality, I think that he was battling with himself, to be very honest.
Okay,
I believe he was battling with himself. Now,
I can agree with that, but where did he get those beliefs from?
There's a mosquito in the house. But what I'm saying is his dad is trying to save face, because his son the kid that's supposed to be a representative of the dad because the dad raised him, committed this horrendous crime. He's trying to save face. Now, once again, there's no manual for being a parent, but the less that dude says, the better off he is. He should have just apologized to the families for what happened and kept his mouth shut and left it at that. But he's exposing himself to a lot of scrutiny by making comments like he just did.
But at the same time, there's millions of Muslim people who, although they practice the faith strongly, they have enough common sense to know right from wrong, to rationalize. And I still think that it comes back from the parenting, because you do have people who do join the Muslim faith throughout their life, but a lot of times things like this are from birth. The day they're born, their parents will start teaching them what's right. Let
me step in here just for 1 second. I really dislike people talking about radical Islam this, radical Islam that. When we look at Christianity, what God-fearing Christians have done to Native Americans, African Americans, Chinese, we even talked about what happened with the Japanese Americans during World War II by God-fearing Christian Americans. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about Dylan Roof being a God-fearing Christian American. We don't talk about Timothy McVeigh being a God-fearing Christian American. Okay,
I don't think none of these people is right in their head from already.
And this is my problem here with all this. You're going to have extremes in every single faith out there. You got extreme people, and that's just what you've got here. But what happened in Orlando, I do not believe it was religiously based on this guy's behavior, based on this guy being on gay websites, based on this guy frequenting the same nightclub for multiple years prior to shooting that place up. So, in this instance, I don't believe it was religiously based. And, I just, I'm sick of the whole shaming the Muslim faith, because I don't know any Muslims that I don't like. I can be very honest with you right now. I know quite a few Muslims, whether it's Nation of Islam, whether it's traditional Muslims from Afghanistan, Yemen. I've got friends from Yemen. I got friends from Palestine. And, I can honestly say, man, they've come to America, they've adjusted, and they just, they want to fit in. They want to live. And that's why you come to America, Maybe
the Islamic Nation of Islam, but because I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the most well-versed person in the faith of being Muslim, but it seems to me that these radical Muslims all are of the I want to say Arabic nature. And when people paint these pictures of these bombers and things of that nature, they're always thinking of the ones with big turbans on and all this other stuff. But now, correct me if I'm wrong. There's Malcolm X and other Muslims out there that don't get that same criticism. Like Malcolm X was definitely extreme in some of the things that he did, but
whoa. When he first started, yeah, absolutely, and what his views were. But you should kind of educate yourself on Malcolm X. That's kind of a not a good example, but go ahead.
Well, no. When I say that is as far as as terrorists, as far as what a modern day stereotypical terrorist looks like. You don't think
I look at Dylan Roof,
African American terrorist,
right? I look at Timothy McVeigh.
And that's why I use the Malcolm X example, as he could have had his own views and had his pick of what religion he was, but as a modern day terrorist, you wouldn't think of someone like Malcolm X. You think of McVeigh, you think of Dylan Roof, who obviously has some issues. Omar Mateen. When you think of 9/11, you don't think of Malcolm X.
Right. Well, I mean, when you look back at Malcolm X wanted the black people to, they wanted them to be stronger. They wanted them to, have pride in themselves, And another Muslim that we mourn the loss of is Muhammad Ali. Now, exactly. if you go back and get on YouTube and look at some of the messages that Muhammad Ali conveyed, there was no let's go out and kill people, but it was more or less, this is what we've endured and this is where we're trying to get to. So there's a big difference. There's a big difference from, what we're seeing now and some of the extremes that these people are willing to go to, a la what happened in Paris and, so on and so forth. We've seen so many examples. And, you look over Nigeria with Boko Haram and what those savages have done over there, man. It's just, those are the fringes of faith that for the most part is pretty peaceful.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. What they're doing is, and it's the same thing they do to black people. What they're doing is they're taking a select few people and painting it as the whole entire belief feels the same way. And that's the media for you.
Yeah, it's generalizing.
And it's a huge generalization. What one person does, and it's funny because, and I don't want to, I'm not going to say I don't want to offend, because if you're offended, that means you must agree with me and you're mad that you agree with me. So I'm not going to say I don't want to offend, but it's ironic, I guess, that there was never a generalization to McVeigh. There was never a generalization made when the Columbine kids
they were lone wolves and mentally ill. They were never. Yeah.
There's no generalization.
What about the guy in Colorado that shot up the movie theater?
Or the guy who just walked up to the Christina Grimmie girl and killed her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, a lot of those people have a very glaring commonality that does not get generalized.
Right. But it's easy for the media to talk about black on black crime. What's going on in Chicago? What's going on in Baltimore? That kind of thing. That kind of bothers me because I realize there's a lot of violence going on in Chicago, but there are a lot of people that never get mentioned in the media that are trying to change that. And you hear, well, what is Black Lives Matter doing? Black Lives Matter is actually doing a lot of work in some of these neighborhoods to try to curb some of this violence.
I would challenge the government to this. I challenge the government to find a top 30 heavily African American population, and I want you to go in there and give everybody there an average income of $100,000. Every family there. Exactly.
Hey, remember the movie? What was the movie with Eddie Murphy? Trading Places.
Trading Places, yeah.
Trading Places. Basically, you give this guy who's a career criminal, who's a hustler and does all this other stuff. You give him a good job, give him a position, and he runs your company.
And that's what it is, though. It is funny. Like, it's funny, but it's sad. Like, most people only think of crime. When I've had my most criminal thoughts was when I was doing the worst financially. When I felt the most trapped.
Because your back was against the wall.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of examples of, you do hear stories about some artists who make it and they get in trouble. They're just dummies. But the majority of artists who make it, they like, get that shit away from me. Look at 50. Yeah. 50 was shot 9 times. 50 was
full moved to the Hamptons.
Yeah, they don't want none of that no more. They don't need it no more.
Yeah,
and I feel like
it was a means to an end. Look at Jay-Z.
Look at 50, look at Hove, look at Diddy, look at all these, even look at Biggie and Pac, who we never know why they were killed, but I can pretty much guarantee you they wasn't in the streets doing what they was doing before they started making music. They got out of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? They got away from that. Now, you always gonna have jealous people, and there's always gonna be a way people gonna make up motives, but in today's world, like, you don't have to. It's dumb. And then I remember seeing, it was so funny. I seen this today. I remember seeing that when the Orlando shooter happened, Donald Trump quickly said that it was 100% Obama's fault.
Oh yeah, that jackass. Here we go with this guy. And I just wish he would just shut the hell up forever. To be very honest, man, because what he's doing, you realize that he's the poster boy for terrorists. You realize, no, seriously, everything that he's saying, these terrorists are turning around and using it to recruit other terrorists.
I don't even think that.
That's actually a fact. That's what's happening right now. Everything he said, all this incendiary stuff that he's saying, that's exactly what's happening.
Well, I think that Donald Trump will make someone who's not a terrorist into a terrorist.
Exactly. That's my point. He's just for recruitment.
And what I was going with was after the alligator attacked in Disney, I can't remember who said it. I was trying to look right now, but another Republican said that the alligator attacking the kid in Orlando was 100% the fault of Obama. Now, I tried to spin my head around how that attack that's never happened before is Obama's fault, but I'll live with it. I'll live with it. I don't know how it's Obama's fault. Listen, it's my fault. It's my fault. I'll take the blame for it. All the bad stuff in Orlando is my fault because
as a Floridian,
I hated the Magic when I was growing up.
As a Floridian, I can tell you for a fact that an alligator can just show up one day. I know that sounds weird. Where I used to work at a place where I could kind of go around and walk. And there was a canal area that I used to walk by every single day. And it was always empty. And then one day I walked by and there's an alligator in there about 6 feet long. Just showed up one day, just decided, hey, I like it. I like it here. And he was just over baking in the sun, just chilling. So, I kind of blame Disney because they didn't put enough notation up there.
I blame Disney 100%.
Yeah, I can't blame the parents because the parents were within reach of the kid because the father was able to go and try to fight the alligator. If the parents were not paying attention, as fast and deadly as the alligator is, that alligator could have had the kid.
Been gone.
They wouldn't have seen anything. So I'm not going to sit here and fault the parents. Number one, they're from Nebraska, and there are no alligators in Nebraska unless you go to the Lincoln Zoo. And other than that, I mean, they don't know what they're up against. They don't know that during dawn and during dusk, before and after, you're not supposed to be anywhere near the water. They don't know that stuff. But as a local, we knew that. We knew that growing up that, hey, you better not be anywhere near the river. You better not be anywhere near any lagoons or canals, that close to dark because you might get grabbed.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing with it. First off, Disney is 100% responsible. I'm surprised those parents are trying to be cool with everything. I think they feel like they partly to blame, which is fucking ridiculous. But Disney they should pay them. They shouldn't even have to sue. And here's the reason why. That's like me say, Jing, yo, come to my house. Come chill at my spot. You come over to the house. I got a room that say, don't go in there. A door's wide open and it said, don't go in there. Inside that room, I got 10 lions just walking around. You go stand next to that room. Now, I don't tell you the lions is in there. you might have heard stories before there's lions in there, but I don't tell you the lions is in there. But we all chilling in the room next to that room.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, if you standing next to that door, and one of them lions grab you that you didn't even know was there, that's my fault. Not only should I at least have the door shut, in this case could have been a gate around the man-made lake, but not only that, but I should have some kind of warning to you saying the reason you don't go in this room is because I got some fucking lions in there.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And Disney didn't have none of that.
Right. And on top of that, there's a housing complex, and there are lagoons and man-made ponds and stuff in that area. And they have notification, hey, there could be an alligator in here. So, I mean, if a housing complex like that is willing to do that, then I would think somebody as big as Disney would at least consider it. And the fact that people are feeding alligators is asinine, because you know what you've done? You basically said, I'm trying to help you ease your fear of humans. So you know what? Whenever alligator decides, hey, these people are harmless, I'm going to go eat one. And that's basically, you know, what happened.
And you think Disney would know better, but you know what though? Disney's no stranger to controversy. Just like a lot of the media. If you watch a lot of Disney movies, there's always some subliminals in there. And that leads me into a segue. I actually just got a question from a viewer, and it's something I actually feel strongly about. I'm going to try to twist this question. First, shout out to Bryce out of Niagara Falls. Thank you for watching. And his question was, how do we feel about the new superhero movies, like the Captain America and X-Men? And I've always had mixed feelings about these movies. One, they're entertaining as hell. I can't get you. I won't lie to you. I love them. They're entertaining. But ever since I was a little kid, I always had a theory that Professor X is really Martin Luther King, and Magneto.
That's a fact.
And Magneto is either Malcolm X or young Malcolm X or Farrakhan, and all the mutants are really black people.
Yes, that's true. That's true. There's actually factual proof that that's what the X-Men were based on.
And I've never seen any. Yeah. I've never seen any proof about this. But if you watch how they're segregated and people don't like them, and they can do all these incredible things, and they can really help humankind be a better place. But if you really watch and read the undertaking of it, it's like, yes, these are great human beings. A lot of them are good. And the ones that are bad, if you watch X-Men, a lot of ones that are bad were pushed to being bad.
Right.
And
well, I guess, I got to chime in here. It's just killing me. Marvel, and you know, I've read Marvel. I read DC growing up. I like both of them. You know, I'm more slighted towards Marvel than I am DC. But these movies, Green Lantern, Batman versus Superman, Batman Beyond. There was like one Batman that was decent in my opinion.
The Dark Knight ones was okay.
The Dark Knight ones were good. The other ones were kind of cornball with Val Kilmer and
I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So I really hope that DC gets it going, because like Batman versus Superman, I expected them to step up and be as good as like the X-Men. But
it's not. But it kind of probably goes back to the basis of maybe because we're African American, we relate to this, and that's why we kind of cheer for the X-Men, because we kind of already know what's going on, and the story, like, we know it. Why would I cheer for this rich fucking white boy who has nothing else better to do but to get in a fucking bat costume and go fight other people who ain't got nothing else better to do?
Bro, that movie disappointed me so much, because Batman whooped Superman's ass throughout that whole show. Whooped his ass, set him up, you know, and got at him. But when they were fighting Doomsday, Wonder Woman had to bail him out. Wonder Woman was the star of the end of that show. Okay, Ben Affleck did a good job. He did a better job than he did as Daredevil by leaps and bounds.
Which is funny, because the Daredevil show on Netflix is actually dope.
Oh yeah, that show is off the hook, man. And you know, they're coming out with the Punisher, and we can talk about that later.
Dope.
but just kind of getting back to this, DC has kind of dropped the ball when the whole superhero movie revolution was happening. DC should have been out there getting all their stars, getting all their superheroes propped up for the Justice League, but it just didn't work out like that. They're so far behind the 8 ball. Now, the one movie I am looking forward to seeing is Aquaman.
I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, yeah, but Aquaman looks like it's going to be dope, to be very honest. And I think it's going to be an underrated movie that comes out, and they really need to push this movie as much as possible. I think it's going to be a good movie because for the first time, Aquaman don't look soft.
I think Aquaman is probably the equivalent of a Krabby Patty in SpongeBob,
bro.
Because
you got to come with open mind now.
You see Krabby Patties and you know that they're there, but you really don't give a damn. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel about Aquaman. Now, don't get me wrong, I might be surprised because I always hated Adam, and when he was introduced in the DC shows on TV, I actually liked the character. Absolutely. But I'm not a fan of the Atom. So going back to, I just seen this right now. I guess there's a movement going on of young African American males that are pro Donald Trump, and I can't fathom why.
They want to go against the grain. They want to fit in. They want to be accepted into something that they really shouldn't want to be accepted into.
Is it just rebellious?
I think it's to go against the grain, to be very honest. I've had a problem with conservatives for years. I mean, you go all the way back to the 60s with the Southern strategy, with Barry Goldwater and him using the Southern strategy. Then you had Richard Nixon, who perfected the Southern strategy. And then you had Ronald Reagan, who, for all intensive purposes, used it as well to get into the White House. You've seen this dog whistle politics from the 60s on up. And, I just can't see how anybody could gravitate to that. How can you gravitate? I mean, when people are making comments like, we got to go where the ducks are and stuff like that. Hey, I have a real problem with that, and to be very honest, the only reason I can see you voting conservative or Republican or GOP, whatever you want to call it, is if you're rich.
What's funny?
Or if you hate yourself, one of the two.
You know what's funny? Now, you know me good enough, and anybody watching knows me. I have one goal in life. Well, I have more than one, but I have one gigantic goal.
I can see you in the GOP.
I would never do it. I couldn't do it,
bro.
I'm going to be rich.
I'm telling you, if you became a billionaire, the way you talk about money, the way you talk about
money, and I need a lot of it.
I can see it. I'm serious, man.
I couldn't do it. I'm gonna tell you.
You might do it on the slide here a little bit.
Nah. I'm not gonna be no fair weather Republican. But that'd be like me being a Bucks fan. But anyway.
That's why Darren McFadden's out. But anyway, go ahead.
That's why we got our crop top wearing running back anyway, Ezekiel.
Yeah, okay.
But I feel like this. No matter how much money I'm gonna have, I could never be a Republican. That'd be like selling my soul to the devil. I'm too much of a liberal-minded person. I believe in equality for everybody. I'm a you have my trust until you lose it type person. I'm not a you have to gain my trust type person. Mm-hmm. And I love different races. I love different cultures. I love learning about different cultures. I love seeing it and witnessing it. It's one of the reasons I love Arizona is because of the melting pot of people we have here. And I could never do it. And I feel bad. I feel bad for anybody who's brainwashed themselves enough to believe that there's a good outcome of Donald Trump becoming president.
There isn't.
The best outcome of Donald Trump becoming president was he got shot at his inauguration.
Ouch.
That's the only one though, because anything else is going to hurt more than just Donald Trump. He's going to get major cities destroyed because if you look at his when he does his speeches nowadays, the amount of hate that's just in the crowds amongst each other, and that's in America. Can you imagine when his hate toward other races and countries is on a magnified level because he's the president of the United States? Like, can you imagine the hate that people in Mexico are going to feel for Donald Trump?
And they have every right. They have every right. They have every right to. I mean, he's been nothing but insulting to everybody, basically. And you know what? He doubles down. He doubles down every doggone week. And people are like, oh, well, he's going to be our president, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think it's people have been suppressed since, I would say, maybe the 80s, to where you don't want to appear racist. So they've, I guess I want to say internalized they've internalized their racism. They put it that way. Racism hasn't gone away. It's pretty much adapted to the times. And that's what you've seen. Now you've got a guy that doesn't care. He says whatever he wants. And you got these people that gravitate to him. Now, there's a small percentage of people that dislike Hillary Clinton so much, they're willing to vote for this guy. And you have to take that into consideration as well.
I don't know what Hillary Clinton could have done to any of us to make us hate her. I don't hate Hillary Clinton.
She's corrupt.
She could be corrupt. I don't hate her. She might not be the greatest person in the world.
She stole that election. She's corrupt. Let's not even talk about voter fraud and all that. Don't get me started on this, please.
Even if that's the case, I can't hate Hillary Clinton. She's never done nothing or said nothing derogatory to someone.
I ain't voting for her.
And that's fine. But are you voting for Trump?
No, hell no.
Exactly. You don't have enough hate for Hillary Clinton.
Oh, no, that was a scumbag, man. I would never vote for him.
And don't get me wrong.
He's part of corporate America. I mean, this is Trump's reality show. Basically, what you've seen for the past year or more this is Trump's ultimate reality show.
There's so much evil in the world today that it wouldn't surprise me if Trump became president, because there's a lot of evil right now. Everybody's mean. Everybody's hateful. There's so much hate. I'm not necessarily convinced that there's more hate now than any other time in our life. I just think that we have more access to the hate that's out there.
We're drawn closer together by social media and technology. And so we're seeing stuff that we probably never would have paid any attention to before. And, if you're ever tried and found guilty by the social media, then, you've got a problem. Trump has overcome that. It doesn't matter what he said, going all the way back to the, was it Miss Universe pageant, where he made the disparaging comments that he did. Mm-hmm. And, from there on forward, this guy has just doubled down. He found out that, this ain't going to affect me too bad. I'm just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And this is what he's done. This guy is horrible. And I'm telling you that, there is a good possibility that he might be the president of the United States. A good possibility.
And it'll be a United States with one less black man in it. But anyway,
we all say that. I heard so many people talking about, if Obama got elected, I'm leaving the country. Oh, but if he gets reelected, I'm really leaving the country. Yeah, whatever. People just, it is what it is. I mean, my concern here is my son having to go to war for one of these jackasses.
Whether that's why I'm not going to be here.
Because it's either going to be Hillary Clinton is basically a Republican. If you look at her views, if you look at her platform before Bernie Sanders pushed her back to the left, Hillary Clinton is a 1980s Republican, is all she is. Okay.
Well, here's the reason why this is one of the only times I would seriously consider leaving America. And it's because I do have kids and I do value money. Yeah, and I know that I need to have a lot of money. And if Donald Trump became president, I will work as hard as I fucking can to get my $218,000, which is $1 billion in the Dominican Republic, and I will be there with some servants. I would be there with some kind of generator. If I have to build my own Wi-Fi and my own internet connection, I will be my own ISP.
You've never even been there, man. Listen, okay, we're kind of segueing into this. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you go to Dominican Republic, you love it and you won't want to come back. I'm not talking about the resorts up in the north in Punta Cana. I'm talking about down in the south in Bani, San Cristobal, Don Gregorio, La Playa Palenque, those areas. That
I would love to live somewhere I can't pronounce.
I'm telling you right now, you have a villa, you live there. I mean, you just don't get it. You don't get it. You'd have to experience it to understand it. So I mean, when I hear you talking about it, I get what you're saying. But if I lost all technology tomorrow, whatever. I'm still have my life. You remember we've talked about this too. Money doesn't mean as much to me as it does to you. Okay, money's a means
more to you.
Money's a means to an end, and that's it. If I were in my 60s and I were a caretaker at some villa on a Caribbean island, I'd be good. I'd be good with that because I don't, you can't take any of this with you.
But my kids can have it.
Yeah, I know. But what are you teaching them? What is that
teaching? Dad worked hard as hell for them to have it, and then now they can work hard as hell and give it to their kids.
And how much of that are they going to retain? That's
I gotta
see what I'm saying. I mean, you look at trust fund kids. I know so many trust fund kids.
I wish I was one.
Had gotten money from their parents and blew it because they didn't know the value of how hard it was to get it because they didn't live it.
But that's the parents' fault. The parents need to show their kids, look how hard I'm working.
But that's more times the fact. That's more times the rule than the exception, though.
This is what I feel like this. I could never live in a third world country as it being a third world country. I'm not walking outside in a fucking loincloth. I can't do it.
Nobody's talking about. I ain't saying all that. I mean, like, and because I'm like you. I would never move to Africa. I mean, I would never visit Africa, to be very honest. I'm talking about like the Caribbean. I'm talking about like in the Caribbean, or something to that effect. I could see myself doing that.
Yeah, I could do something like it'd be tough though, man. I love my technology. Like this podcast, I love it. I love everybody watching right now. Thank you all again. And stuff like this is only possible because we live here. We don't live in a third world country.
Right.
One thing that you need social, and I feel bad for the future generations because their social skills, their actual personal and people face-to-face skills are probably going to be terrible.
Right.
But at the same time, that's what the world's working to. That's what the world's moving to, and we got to get with it or we're going to get lost. And I don't plan on getting lost.
Right,
I got a GPS on my phone.
Now, just think about this. When the last time I told you I've been over there, and when I got laid off my job, I stayed over there for a month and just chilled. I lived off my unemployment. I lived like a king. I mean, I had my clothes washed for me. I had enough to get beer. I mean, I ate what I wanted to. I went to the beach every day and played dominoes. Went to the club after that. That was my lifestyle for the whole time I was there. And
I would love that.
That's as close as I've ever come to being rich or knowing what a rich person felt like, where I didn't have any worries about anything financially. I could just go out and do what I wanted to do. But at the same time, there was rolling power. So you didn't have your technology. You didn't have a television or a radio or anything like that. You know what you were left to do? Believe it or not, go outside and talk to your neighbors. Okay.
No. Being American, I know that I don't like most neighbors.
Right. I know, but there, I mean, that's what works. That's why they have good social skills and outgoing, and you get to know the people around you, and you actually communicate with people face to face. And that's something that we've totally gotten away from. And you know this as well as I do. I mean, you have conference calls. You have conference calls remotely. You a lot of stuff that you handle is over the phone. It's never face to face. I still am of the mind I would like to go talk to somebody and look at them, look at who I'm talking to, or something to that effect. All the playing online and all this other stuff, it's fun, but it's not as fun as going out and talking to people and meeting people.
Well, I love both aspects of it, but I think by moving to a third world country or any country that's not America or the UK, you kind of losing one of those aspects of it. You can't have both. Like, yes, I would love going to the beach and playing dominoes and living like a king, which I will do, and it will be easier in a third world country to do so. But I also love, you know what I mean, reading what the idiots on Twitter said, or reading the news, or off of Yahoo, knowing it right away.
They're not even real people. They're not even real people. Seriously. I mean, do you personally know most of the people that you might? But I've got 700. I've got 700 followers on Twitter, and I don't even know maybe 10% of those people. But they're just people that follow me,
But what about this though? Okay, you only know 10% of them, but do you think that, or would you appreciate having the power to influence any of them, those 700 people, to be better, to do better? Do you feel like
you can do that face to face though, bro? That's what I'm saying.
But you can't reach as many people. You can't reach as many people. Like, you might put up an inspirational tweet in the morning because you feel in a certain type of way, and somebody who's having a really bad day reads it, and you just made their day better by spending 30 seconds putting on something on your phone.
Right.
And that's somebody you would never have reached to. I think just the reach of social media is mind-boggling.
Now, I mean, you know what? I'm going to agree with you on that. I'm definitely going to agree with you on that. But at the same time, I mean, if you're like doing volunteer work and, getting out, actually talking to people, when you're interacting with people face to face, I honestly believe that you can reach people that way as well. I really do.
Yeah, but a lot lesser people. A lot.
But I think it'll be a lot more it'll have a lasting effect. And the reason I say that, and the reason I say that is because time is the most valuable thing that we can give anybody. Forget about money, forget about wealth and fame. Time is the most, I guess, the most valuable thing you can give somebody. Your time, because time is something you'll never get back.
And that's why, if y'all don't know if you ever seen the movie Out of Time, I thought that was a brilliant premise, that capital became time, because by doing that, the most valuable thing is unquestionably the most valuable thing. Time was important. You were paid in time. Definitely. And if you were rich, you lived forever. And I agree, that's a great premise for a movie. And time is very important. But in the meantime, and in between time, money is going to make that time much more enjoyable. Much more enjoyable. I think that you got to have money. I think money is a very thing. I think I think your life should go, your family should be the most important thing. And then after your family, your well-being, and then money. And everything else is a distant fourth. I think money is something that will make life, just like you said earlier, that if you gave money to a crime-ridden neighborhood, the crime rate would go down. And that shows you the importance of money. Money is a very important thing. And I think it couldn't be more stated, broadly overstated, that money's not the root of all evil. What money is. Money.
Well, you gotta consider the biblical phrase is the love of money, not money. There's nothing wrong with money, biblically speaking. I mean, if you want to get into that, I mean, I'm a card carrying heathen myself. I'm just quoting what the Bible actually says. It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not money itself. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with money. It's just, how you are viewing that.
Well, the love of money. I mean, the Bible. I've read the Bible, and I think that
that's basically. No, I'm just going by what your quote was.
Right. Okay. For the love of money is the root of all evil. I think it could be, but a lot of people have evil tendencies or act evilly because of the necessity of money, not necessarily the love. They might not care. I mean, there's people out there who will rob and only take what's needed. There's people who are stealing food to eat at night because they have no food, because they have no money. They're not trying to get rich from being
throughout history. That's been the case.
They're not trying to be a thief. They're not trying to steal to get rich. They're stealing because they have to, because of the necessity of money, not necessarily the love of it. I think that the love of money is fine. I think you can have a healthy love of money. I feel like I have a healthy love of money. I think having a love of money drives ambitiousness and makes people far more creative because of this love of money. People talk about Einstein, or not even Einstein. Well, Einstein's a good example, or I cannot think of his name right now. Light bulb guy. Edison. And all these other inventors, like, they didn't have the idea that, especially Edison, who did a lot for power and communication and his inventions. Why do you think he did those things? You don't think he thought, damn, I can make a lot of money off of this? You don't think Alexander Graham Bell stole the telephone because he didn't think it was going to make him a rich man? You don't think Ford stole the ideas and concepts that he stole because he didn't think it was going to make him a rich man? Of course they did. They wanted to be rich.
You got me outside of my depth right now. I can't really speak on any of those guys or what motivated them to do what they did. But
okay, well, can you agree that it is highly probable that they did have some kind of money motivation?
I think they were trying to, at that time, there was not as much greed as there is right now. I don't think that was the thing. I think they were trying to further humankind. A lot of the
Why
things.
Did Bill Gates? You think Bill Gates thought about money?
You fast forwarded decades now. So
okay, but what about Bill Gates? You think he had money as a motivation?
I'm sure he did.
Or what about who? I mean, if you name 10 of the best rappers or artists out there in music, why do you think they got in music? Yes, they probably had a love for music, but the ones who really commit to music.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, you've gone from talking about a bunch of inventors at a time where greed was not prevalent. Greed was not prevalent like it is now back then. So the thought process is definitely different, and you're going back from this time to this time. And like you say with the rappers, you're absolutely right. That is something that motivated them, was money. I can be a star. I can make a lot of money.
Was it a bad motivation?
Yeah. It worked for him.
Was it a bad thing to motivate them?
No, I'm not here to judge anybody. It worked for them. They're rich. And look where they are. Look where a lot of them are now. And a lot of them didn't have a lot of talent, but you look at where they are now. I can't knock anybody's hustle.
Look at
they
athletes.
did what they did.
A lot of athletes will tell you in a heartbeat, why do you do this? Why do you work so hard? I do it for my family, so I can support my family and I can be there for them and they can have good lives. And you know how much work it takes to be LeBron James or to be Steph Curry? You know how much hard work? But at the end of the day, they're doing it for money. They signing these contracts for money. They sign these endorsement deals for money. But that money is a great motivational tool for these people. Absolutely. Their love of money there's nothing wrong with that love of money. I have a love of money like that. I think a lot of my ideas and a lot of my creativity.
Where does it end? Let me ask you this: where does that end? Where does that love of money end?
With a very rich man, hopefully.
No, seriously. Is there? Where are you set? When are you satisfied with where you've gotten to? At what point, if you are amassing all this wealth, where do you say, okay, I'm satisfied? I'm
always gonna want more because I'm always gonna want to do more.
Exactly.
So there is no satisfaction to it. But like when I say do more, if I would be the guy, and I can't speak for everybody, but this is me speaking for me. I would be the guy that I have a lot of money. My family is good. I'm good for lifetimes. I'm definitely doing what I can to help the population as well. I would build YMCAs. I would build Boys and Girls Clubs. I would do things of that nature because I feel like there's a lot of people who benefit from those things. And in order to do those things, it takes money. And I'm not going to it's my money. I can do what I want to with it. I think these things are needed. I think that these things need to be in communities. I think there's communities that lives will be so saved just by simply building a Boys and Girls Club. Yeah. Just by having some kind of money. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's nothing wrong.
You're right. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with you. You're right. There's nothing wrong with that. It just we're totally different individuals. And I guess
but you would do the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that would be the first thing I would do would be to look out for as many people as I could. And I think that's what's missing. Like today, you have a lot of people and they're looking out for their little clique or whatever, but they're not looking at the grander scale because I don't know. I just think that people just are more concerned about themselves and what can be done for them as opposed to everybody benefiting. I mean, it's not your duty to take care of everybody, but getting out there and helping the less fortunate, I mean, it's always a good thing.
Well, yeah. Well, one thing about me is this. I feel like if there was somebody that was willing to give me a chance when I was younger with some of the things and some of the talents that I had growing up, that my life would have came out drastically different. And I feel like if I'm ever in a position to give somebody else that chance, I want to be the guy to give that chance. I want to be the guy that everyone's like, yo, Hood'em, he saved my life. Yo, Tuna did this for me. Yo, that Charles dude, he's a stand-up guy. He really is saying what he feels, but he's doing what he wants to do, and he's helping these people out. Now, don't get me wrong. People's going to try to get over on me. I understand this. But if I could take one kid and really change their life, I've done it. I think we do in to some degree. I think by having this podcast, we're doing that every Friday. That we're trying to change lives and people. If someone's watching this and they like, yo, dang, this dude's right. Money is strong, but you just got to learn how to use that money motivation positively. I'm happy with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's important.
And we need that. We need community. That's what we don't have. That's what the black race misses the most. Bro. If you look at any other race, they put in money together to open one liquor store or one Chinese place or one nail shop, and they all the same nationality. They may or may not be family, but at the end of the day, they all start eating off of it. You don't have that in the African American.
Well, I think what killed that is segregation or desegregation. Desegregation totally ended that because if you go back to the civil rights era, it was black people looking out for other black people. I could be from Florida and go to Compton and we're all in the same struggle. Everybody's dealing with the same thing, probably not to a certain extreme as one like California compared to the deep South, but everybody's experiencing the same thing at that time. So it helped to stick together and, keep your base tight, and everybody's looking out for everybody. But once all that ended, then you see it's pretty much, I can go live here. I can go do this. I can go do that. And all that camaraderie, everything, that closeness, that close-knit community is gone. It's totally gone.
We've never had it. I've never had it growing up.
I know you can't physically speak on that, but I mean, if you go back through history and you look at the civil rights era and see how black people stuck together, black parts of town, and they were prospering in some instances, like we were talking about Black Wall Street. I mean, just think about this, that there was a time where, you know, you could go there and you could be successful. And then all that was taken away. But like I said, you can look at a point where desegregation happened and black folks started going their own way, with the exception of the projects or a few neighborhoods where you had black folks at. But for the most part, everybody's doing their own thing, and there is no national identity.
Okay, I got a question for you then. In the 80s, in California, there were groups of black people getting together, and they were called the Bloods and the Crips.
That's on a negative level, though.
Was that?
It started, and if you got to go all the way back, but you got to go all the way back to the 60s. Originally, that wasn't what that was meant to be for.
100%.
And you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And
well, we know one was only started because the other one became too strong. So,
right. But at the end of the day, man, that's what I'm saying. It was perverted from what it was originally intended to do into something that it is right now.
Is there anything bad? I mean, but like, is that a failure of the leadership of the African American leadership, or lack thereof?
It's a lack of. You go back to jobs again. You go back to education again. A lot of things that other neighborhoods have that neighborhoods that you're looking at here didn't have. Let's talk about you talk about the 80s. That was the time of crack cocaine. Ronald Reagan,
exactly.
CIA. They're bringing another element into the communities that wasn't into the communities previous to this. Yeah, you had heroin and cocaine and stuff like this, but crack cocaine is a whole nother animal. And, you know, we can go into history all we want, but my point is this. I mean, you go back to the 60s and the I would go the 30s to the 60s was a time where black communities were pretty tight. I mean, neighbors, am I my brother's keeper? You saw neighbors looking out for other people's kids, you know, and you just don't see that kind of thing anymore. And it was all, like I said, with desegregation, all that changed because black folks really didn't have a national identity after a while.
And even today, as soon as we hear of a black kid getting killed by a cop or a black person getting done an injustice for a month, you'll hear all the black people come together. You'll hear us all talk and
what about Flint, Michigan, man? That stuff is still going on, and it's outside. It's out of the media. It's out of the media now, but it's still going on.
I mean, when the last time we was watching news or media and you seen Trayvon Martin or Mike Brown or any of these names come up and it wasn't something centered around Black Lives Matter, or you know what I mean? Like, you don't hear about that stuff no more.
But here we go. I
hear about OJ more than that.
Yeah, we're talking about the media once again. They have their agenda. The media has their agenda. They're going to do things the way they want to do it. Okay. The way they portray people, and then other people, they don't portray them the same way. Let's look at the kid in Disney and what happened with the kid in Disney, and then compare that to the family whose kid got down in the zoo with the gorilla.
I thought about that.
Now look at how both of those stories are conveyed, how both of those stories are presented in the media. And it may not be anything directly in your face, but you look at how both of these stories were reported.
White family watching a movie, they were sitting by the kid, the son had his feet in the water. Black family, too many kids, one kid walked away, climbed over the gate, down with the gorilla.
Yeah. And you know, the Black family, they were inattentive. They weren't paying attention.
Which
And
nobody knows
yeah.
these things. Nobody
Well,
knows.
yeah. But my point is, you know, when you talk about the media, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I've gotten away from clicking posts until I've done my research. I'm not gonna get caught up in this anymore. TMZ is probably the worst thing to happen to the United States.
You know why? You know why
TMZ
is bad? TMZ is bad because a lot of stuff that they say on there be true.
But
that's what makes TMZ bad.
But you got some grimy ass reporters, man, and they're only after the story. They don't care who they wreck or who they hurt or how many people they take down. That's going to be their claim to fame. Well, how many people they hurt.
You celebrities, I think once you make your decision that you're going to be a celebrity, you've already made a conscious decision that you have no more private life. And I think you have to live with that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. But at the same time, what if the roles were reversed? Would these people want to deal with that? With every
if you gave me the money that Kanye had, I would deal with paparazzis all day, every day.
Really?
All day, every day. Wouldn't care.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
I'm too private of a person.
But you don't care about the money that much either.
Yeah, you're right.
I would make that sacrifice.
I value my privacy more than I would the fame and the money.
How much privacy do you really got though? 80% of our day we spend on camera. So I mean, how much privacy do you really have?
Right, yeah. But I mean, we're not. I guess you know when you go out to a restaurant and you're like, oh, I just want to kick it with my girl, or I just want to hang out by myself, or whatever. How much of that do you really want to be hounded by the police? Maybe you have like 4 or 5, 6, 10 glasses of wine and you come staggering out of there. I mean, you get into Uber or whatever, you go away. But if paparazzi's all in your face, that's going to become a story.
That's fine. Make it a story. I don't care. Talk about me. Just make me more famous. Any publicity is good publicity. But and with that being said, I mean, with those opportunities and that kind of money, I'll rent the whole restaurant out for the night. Me and my girl have a good time. And then when I leave, I'll deal with the paparazzi for those 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And
see, you're thinking huge now. See, you were meant to be rich.
I should have been rich. I thought I remember when I was like 16 thinking like, man, when I turn 21, I'm gonna have my first million. And then I was on the path for a while. Like when I was young, a lot of my friends say it now, like, dude, do you actually realize how much money you've touched in your life? And I don't, because I don't really, to me, I feel like I don't have really too much to show for it. Yeah. For as much money as I've had in my life. Yeah. And I feel like we really gotta I gotta get over that. Don't get me wrong, I do got to get over that. One thing I've been doing a lot, shout out to Gary Vaynerchuk, definitely been a big inspiration lately to me. But one thing I got to do is self-reflection. For any of us to be better people, we got to know who we are first. You got to understand.
To be honest with yourself.
You got to know, and you got to be honest when you evaluate yourself. You got to know who you are. And I know that I'm somebody who should be rich, and I know why I'm not. I know I understand, and I've begun to cope and deal with the reasons that I'm not. And I'm trying to overcome those now to become that guy. I'm supposed to be that guy. And I want to be that guy. And I'm going to be that guy. And this love of money and knowing like what the possibilities that like, okay, yeah, the kid got killed in Orlando and that's sad, but damn, I wish I had enough money to take my family to Orlando whenever I wanted to and stay at a hotel with a $2,000 room. You know what I mean? Like you got to be, it takes a certain person to even be in that position in the first place. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And that's why I think money is important. I think a lot of people who are successful did not do it the greedy way, did not step on people's toes to become there. I mean, there are people who did, don't get me wrong, but I think those are far and few between.
But that's most of your CEOs. You're not talking about owners and stuff like that. Owners of businesses. That's a totally different animal right there. But when you talk about like CEOs and presidents, all the way down to middle management, that's kind of what you're looking at right there is, putting yourself in a position to get to that, even if it means pissing everybody off for stepping on people. That's
I think it's possible to do it without doing it. I mean, I think that in a corporate world, you can be that guy and
the corporate America business model has been broken since the 90s, but they keep using the same business model over and over and over again. And that's why we are where we are. I mean, how many people are actually satisfied with where they work at? There's a lot of questions you can ask regarding the workplace, but at the end of the day, man, I mean, that's how they get there. I know directors who have intentionally gotten people in trouble to make themselves look good, to get themselves promotions. I know people that have screwed over whole departments just to get themselves in a director position or a vice president position. I physically know people like that. Horrible people, but they don't care. All they're worried about is the end game, is making that big paycheck.
And there's people like that, but I don't think that's. I think that's the minority, and I don't think that's the majority.
I don't know, man. I just
think we hear about the bad more than we hear about the good. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people who just work hard and they work righteously and they can get to where they want to be. And I know obviously we're gonna probably disagree on that, but I know that I've met a lot of good owners in my life that didn't owners and CEOs and business people and even upper management that didn't have to step on the little guy to get to where they was at. I personally can't work with people like that. It irritates me down to every core of my body and to the core of my body. And I know people like that to this day that try to belittle others to make themselves look good. But you don't have to do that. I've been in management, and I don't think anybody I don't think no one who's ever worked for me disliked me.
Right.
And I don't think anybody I've ever worked for disliked me.
I can honestly say that myself. I mean, I had 25 people under me, and we all worked good, man. We met deadlines. We did what we had to do. We were successful, and
you don't have to be a bad guy to get there.
Oh, absolutely not. But you have to treat people as grown-ups, because that's what people are, grown-ups.
And everybody, you got to treat people as individuals. You can't have a blanket statement and try to run your crew the same way, because everyone's individuals. People are going to react different ways, but that's what it is. You know what I mean? And and as people get to know me and get to know you by watching this broadcast, I think these words now, when they come back and watch the older shows, it would mean more to them, because they really, you know what, both of them made it, and they really did, and they are they're that guy that they said they were. And again, I mean, all the viewers that's come and the people who are gonna watch it after, I want to thank y'all, because y'all make me better being me, because I know that people listen to what I say. I'm the guy that people call for advice, and now
I can't wait to catch some questions from people. That's answering some of the questions is what I'm really looking for.
What I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna set up a line. I'm gonna set up a line so people can dial in or chat bots or something, and that way I can make sure we can get live questions in one of the future shows. Because I know people hit me up on my phone throughout the whole show, and they have comments and things of this nature, and I just want people to know that I sincerely mean the reason I want to do this and say what I feel and have these conversations with you is because I want people to know that I just want people to be informed. I want people to know, because knowledge is power. To this day, knowledge is still power.
And please, anybody that's listening, do your homework. Don't listen. Don't turn on CNN or Fox or CNBC or any of these other clowns and just take their word for it. Go out and do your homework and get an idea of what's really going on out there, because there's a lot of stuff that has been whitewashed out of history that we really need to go back and revisit and teach your kids and any loved ones or anybody that'll listen to you what's really going on and what's happened in the past. Because if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going.
Know where you're going. No idea where you're going. I 100% agree. Well, Jane, it's about that time. Is you ready?
Man, you're just gonna have to give yours. I don't have anything this time.
It's okay though. You get me next week.
All right, I
ready?
got you next week. I am ready. Set the timer for me.
All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. First question is Kim Kardashian or Amber Rose?
Amber Rose.
Why?
Because I like her.
Okay. Last 2 women on Earth, and you have to procreate. Sarah Palin, Hillary Clinton. Who do you choose?
Sarah Palin.
You have some dumb kids. All right. All right. Malcolm X or Louis Farrakhan?
Farrakhan.
Whoa. All right. In your whole life, give me your favorite quote.
Favorite quote? I drank what? Socrates.
I've never heard that one. We might have that on the show later because I don't even understand.
No, it's a joke, man. It's a joke. It's a joke. You know, hey, Socrates drank the poison, killed him.
Oh, okay.
Forget it.
I get it. I'm young for that. All right, the Chef Curry 2s. Would you buy them or would you give them to your worst enemy?
Am I still on? No, I don't. Oh goodness. I'd probably get some Reeboks. No, I give them to my worst enemy. Some Reebok walking shoes. Go for it.
Is Chloe OJ's daughter?
Yes.
Does that change anything?
No. She always has been.
Last question. Name a time and a place in history where you would have been happiest living.
Now.
Oh, see, you agree with me then.
Yep. How'd I do? How much time I have left?
It took you 47 seconds. So 47 seconds, not bad. But we did have some extra comments in there.
And you had some easy questions too, bro.
I did have some easy questions, and the reason is
I thought you were gonna come with the man. You always talk about how you're always gonna come with the good stuff, man.
I'm saving the good stuff because me and you, we know each other, so I kind of know your answers before you answer them.
You wasn't expecting Amber Rose though.
Nah, I kind of did expect you. You one of those blacker the berry, sweeter the juice types. So it didn't surprise me that much, not at all. And I know you.
Let me break it down for you. Amber Rose she started out as a stripper. She's worth like what $5 million now or more, a little bit more. And I look at like Black China. Black China, they showed Black China's net worth before Rob Kardashian was like $500,000. So I think that, you know, you look at Amber Rose, she's a smart businesswoman. You may not agree with like 90% of what she says, but she says what's on her mind. She does what she wants, and she don't answer to nobody.
She's a smart businesswoman.
You gotta respect.
Explain to me the difference in Amber Rose and any of these made up 20 filters after they Photoshop their pictures, females thoughts on Instagram.
She took it to the next level.
They tried to do,
but they didn't. They haven't. Instagram does not count. And while we're on that subject, there's no such thing as an Instagram model. Okay, I mean,
it is
very
social
honest.
Media is the media.
Has built these people up, but if you look at the true definition of a model, they just don't fit that, man. They're taking pictures and they're getting paid for all the followers they get, but what do they don't bring anything to the table, to be very honest.
They probably are dumb as bricks. They probably don't even take their own pictures with their phone. They probably don't.
And I don't want to sound, I'm not trying to hate on nobody or sound salty, but it just bugs me when people talk about, oh, they're the Instagram model. Every time I read that on an article, I'm just like,
so if you was Kim Kardashian, Amber Rose, or any attractive female, you wouldn't do it?
Hell yeah, I would.
Exactly.
With the quickness.
I'm so happy God don't make mistakes because he made me a man, because we made me a female. I would probably be the most famous Corrine Steffens out there.
I would definitely be more corrupt than Hillary Clinton. For real. I'm serious.
I would use my power. All you women watching, I'm happy y'all don't use y'all power. And if you do, more power to you.
That's right. I'm right here for all y'all to do. For all y'all to do. Do your thing.
Because it's a strong power. Oh my God, it's a strong power.
Yeah, for real.
All right,
For real.
so we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna have a special guest next week. I'm not gonna announce it yet. If you ever want to be a guest on the show, just hit me up at my email at thelinkmag.com, thelincmag.com, at gmail.com. I'm sorry, or just hit up.
Hey,
you could have done your own.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get in there. Hey, my final thought for everybody is love one another. Your loved ones, if you're mad at your loved one, somebody that's close to you, hey, fix it, make it right, because tomorrow's never promised. Make sure that you're looking out for people, because good karma is going to come back your way. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight, and you follow me, I'll follow you back, and let's have some fun. Anyway, that's it for me.
Yeah, I'm out of here. I want to reiterate that just love each other. If you're mad at your loved ones, or you got an issue with your significant other, go ahead and walk up to them right now and give them a kiss. If you got a friend or a coworker that you really beefing with, walk up to them, give them a handshake, give them a hug, depending on how close you were, and just watch what power it lays in that one little action. And
because it all rolls downhill. The positive all rolls downhill, just like the negative.
It's contagious. It's contagious. All right. I'll see y'all next week. Super Heavyweight. You have a good one.
All right.
Out of here.